Canadian talk.
Alrighty. Actually, remind me later. I just remembered of someone I know has started another podcast here that it's going to be kind of a thing, I think.
Yeah, there's quite a few people starting them, but the thing is if you don't already have 10 years experience with these fucking things, it's going to be boring.
Sure.
People can start podcasts. It's like, oh, hey, here's the cooking podcast. If you like cooking, go and listen to it.
Yeah.
If you want, it's got to be entertaining at the end of the day. So just a bunch of people who aren't entertainers, you can't make a podcast. You can make a comedy. Almost has to be an aspect of every podcast. So everybody, welcome back to episode 27 of Canadian Talk. We have Dusty here in the studio again. Welcome back. He is Dusty the comedian. He is from Good Ideas, Bad Stories, which is a podcast that is up and coming here around our area. Great show, great comedian, great guy. I brought him in here for many reasons, but one of the big things I wanted to talk about today, right off the top, before we get into talking about some other things, our last episode, how that one, I fucked up the mics, but ultimately it was a good thing because I feel like last episode we got a little bit off the rails with political conversation a little bit, and I'm hoping this time we can keep it reined in a little more.
Time
it was.
I noticed
it's
myself,
cool a little bit.
like after the inauguration, like it wasn't even after the election, it was like after the transition of power happened. And then all of a sudden I just like relaxed, like I just calmed down, and I still like try to be aware and up to date of what's going on, but I'm not constantly like, holy fuck, what new hell today? You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not, like,
so before we get into that,
whatever I'm gonna hear next.
Yeah, before we get into that, there was one main thing I wanted to cover right off the hop because it's literally the thing that everyone in our city is talking about right now, and that is, do you know the band Bombargo?
Yeah.
You've heard of them?
Yeah.
So essentially, I wanted to bring them up right off the bat because I wanted to get your take on it, as usual. But and it's because I kind of have a stance on it already. I haven't done, extensive research, but I think I understand men. I think I understand certain things. And I've looked through the whole situation. How much do you know about it? Should I explain it to you a little bit?
Just what I've read on fucking Facebook.
So you've heard that everybody's throwing these guys under the bus, saying they're privileged, rich, white guys, saying that they're disgusting guys who are abusing women and all that kind of stuff, and they have in the past, and there's all these other stories. There's no proof of any other stories yet. There's just people saying that. So right now,
here's the thing, though. I was actually just talking about this with a girlfriend this morning, and she didn't know much about it. She's like, "Oh, I always seemed like they were nice guys." I thought
that's what I thought.
It wasn't. She's like, "I didn't even think it was the band, though. I thought it was."
I played in Yukigassen with them. Like
yeah.
I was a part of Yuki. Oh, by the way, I get that a little closer.
Oh, sure.
If you can. Closer to that.
But yeah, I don't want to get into this too terribly hard. But it's just. To me, when I heard it, I wasn't surprised. I was like, oh, okay. And I've been in the music scene in Saskatoon for, pushing 20 years now.
Yeah, you are, right?
Either
so
in
that's
bands and working in
clubs.
clubs.
I like your hat. They've been doing. Have you been doing any open mics there at all?
I was for a bit, and then the nights they were doing them wasn't really working out for me. So I was doing one at the Capitol, and then it quit in November, I think.
Oh yeah.
So then I was like, well, I'll just start doing it again when it's convenient, and it still hasn't been. So I just haven't done it again since. I feel like a fucking idiot because they're still doing open mics. They're
I see that, and they do it every week, religiously. I love it.
Yeah.
Have you hung out much with the Fabian?
A tiny bit, yeah. Actually,
a tiny bit.
Like you at the comedy things, and we kicked around some ideas and stuff. Just about
he's
some
funny,
jokes.
hey?
And he's
I love how hardcore he is. That's what a comedian should be to me.
Fabian is definitely. You can't have preconceived notions about what you think you're going to laugh about when you go to see him.
Exactly.
I don't think, and you got to be open. You got to be open. You got to be like, oh, okay, I guess that's the subject matter take, because yeah, he does get gnarly, and some of it's like. It's almost like it's so bad that you laugh because of that. You're like, dude, that's not even funny, but it's like I get that you fucking said it. Yeah. So yeah, he's always entertaining, and I think he does a good job of keeping those comedy nights moving, because it can be tough with an open mic if for anything, doesn't matter if it's comedy or music or whatever. If it's a shitty crowd and a shitty night, you got to still be up there going, okay, well, let's get more of these dumb fucks up here that are gonna embarrass themselves for 4 minutes.
Exactly right. Yeah. So back to the Bombargo thing.
Oh sure.
It's like so the incident that I heard of was it was a photo shoot for Yukigassen 2016. I did Yukigassen with them in 2012. It's like a national snowball fighting tournament.
Yeah.
We won it in 2012 for Canada.
Yeah.
So then of course they're doing it again in 2016. Mm-hmm. And they had said that, so they hired models through an agency. And apparently one of them was 17, but they weren't aware of that. And they were doing a photo shoot with their snowsuits on, like they're a team, all that kind of shit. And apparently, one of the Thoen brothers, Anthony, the younger one, he, like, him and his band manager, Tyler Maltman, right? Is that...
Sure,
And yeah, they took one of the models into a different room to do a photo shoot with just the two main band guys, the Thoens, and apparently they asked them, like, hey, can you, like, you know how it is with those types of shoots, like, hey, like, you know, look like you admire these guys, look like they were shouting things at them, hey, do this, do that, rip off, like, and at one point, like, they were like, hey, rip the sweater or something like that, and I guess that was what made them uncomfortable.
Did you read the rest of the story though?
Yeah, all of it.
So what made me uncomfortable was the photographic makeout session where the one guy left with a heart on.
Yeah, I heard about that.
So that makes me uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Because if you're doing it and you're under the guise of professionalism, I can't imagine that when they're shooting the makeout scenes on Dawson's Creek that everybody's got raging hard-ons. And that they're also taking just the two of them to a different room to go shoot the makeout scene alone by itself. And then, while we did so much work to take it to a different room, and then we had the awkward thing with the boner, then we didn't even bother putting it in. Yeah. So it doesn't seem of professionalism and being up front. It definitely seems like somebody was at least uncomfortable. Yeah. And again, I mean,
I agree
myself, those situations, I go, well, my daughter, my niece, my whatever, that situation, I'm smashing somebody's fucking head in regardless. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So if that was there, she comes out of the room crying and uncomfortable and he's got a heart on, I don't give a fuck.
Did she come out of the room crying?
That was what I understood. Again, I wasn't there for this. I don't know that much about it, but just like I was saying, when I heard that this was the group, all I said in my head was, okay, that sounds right. And just because, and again, like you mentioned the privilege thing, that's how I felt about these guys before I'd ever heard any of this. Like just seeing them when I was working at Amigos and stuff, you know. And I'm not saying specifically anybody, one brother, I just know the group Bombargo definitely seemed like kind of fucking entitled kind of douchebags to me, and that's why I never was into them and didn't get the fucking vibe about it. But they do world music or whatever the fuck it is.
They are the biggest band from our city right now, I would say.
I ain't no sheepdog, son.
Sheepdogs, and then there's also the Dead South. Yeah. There's also the Dead South.
Yeah, I don't know, man. They're all gimmicky garbage, though. It just drives me nuts. It's like, well, that's some Saskatoon. And you're like, yeah, but it could have been manufactured anywhere. When you're like the one thing that does that sound, you want a Saskatoon sound. Saskatoon during the 2000s had this really cool kind of funk rock fucking sound that was kind of specific to here, and there was lots of group doing it. But then you get this. I'm going to go on a rant here about Saskatoon music. Everybody's going to hate me. But I'm like, fucking sheepdogs, man. I see no value in their fucking music. Somebody did that shit 40 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, that's, you're recycling 70s fucking rock. And that's cool. You made a career out of it. But I'm like, I don't got no fucking time for it or respect for it. I don't understand why anybody else even fucking likes it. Like, but whatever, man. I'm particular about, I shouldn't start talking about this.
Yeah. So what about the Dead South? Have you heard of much of
I like their sound. Like, it's cool. But again, you take the outfits off and the ukuleles and shit away.
And then you just got them recycling music.
That's what I'm saying. It's just, that's the gimmick. It's a cool gimmick and it's working.
They used to have a cello.
And they got their sound, you know, like that's, you hear that, like people go, well, that's them. But then they'll go, well, yeah, but that's us taken from this, that, and the other thing, which is kind of what music is. Nobody's fucking original. Nobody's, you know, unless you're creating something on a computer or something and making a new note no one's heard before, nobody's making anything original, right?
True.
You know, and good on them. I don't want to feel like I'm hating on them for fucking
they have
success, but I'm just like, of our successful bands out of Saskatoon, I keep being like, fuck, I've heard so many more talented, interesting, exciting musicians than like the guys doing 70s rock again, the guys putting on a goofy outfit that looks like they're the what's them fucking ones that are all supposed to be brothers that do that same kind of goofy shit, not as twangy and plucky. I don't know, somebody's gonna fucking... Anyway, it doesn't matter. I mean, I barely know music, so...
Yeah, Dead South, like, one of their music videos on YouTube has 500 million views.
Sure. Well, who wouldn't want to look at that? You see that even. You don't have to even hear that band. You see them doing that shot of them walking down the road with their instruments and their outfits. You go, what the fuck's this? Yeah. It's interesting. It's a great fucking grab. I love it. Like, for that angle, it's just... You know, people are like, Saskatoon, you're like, yeah, but that, again, that could have been, anybody could have had that idea out of Vancouver or fucking Toronto or Winnipeg, where they're doing something similar. And I don't know if those guys all grew up playing music together or whatever their deal is, but it does seem like a lot of times these shits are conglomerates. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's guys that already had careers as musicians and played sessions for this one and that one, and, well, no, we all got together and someone else wrote the music and then made the look, and they're all the right height. You know, like, it's like building boy bands. I'm not saying that's what fucking happened here. I'm just saying that's...
Oh, shit.
Like, what was that, just the video thing?
Looks like we lost video.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, dude.
We still got
audio, though.
Cool.
We'll pick that
back
up.
No, we should cut all that anyway.
No, that's okay.
That's the perfect time to realize that nothing recorded. Let's really think about the Saskatoon music scene.
Yeah, quick pause. What the heck?
There's like Miocic. He's a really great boxer, but to me, he never seems like he has that long energy. You know, where it's like his shit's always really crisp. He'll hammer you with hooks. He'll hammer you with uppercuts. Not say he can't get you straight, but in Gano, it's like he's throwing it from the other side of the fucking arena and just fucking whack full momentum. No, and then being built the way he like. Again, there's few people.
I've never really liked Stipe. I don't know how he got to where he got, just because he fought a lot, I guess.
Well, and he's tough, man. He's tough, and he's a well-rounded skill set. And that fucking heavyweight division, I think, gets kind of holes punched in it near the top because there's guys that can kind of. It's almost like how the UFC was 15 or 20 years ago, where you could be really strong in one thing and okay in others and get through. Whereas now you got to be really fucking excellent in everything to be a top-level champion, basically from light heavyweight down. Whereas heavyweight, you can still become a title fight being Derek Lewis.
Yeah, there's so rare that there's guys that big that are actually athletic.
Exactly, and they can take when you're that fucking size. She's one touch and you go to sleep. Like by accident, you're going this way and I'm going that way, and I sort of throw one, and you get knocked the fuck out. It's like, you don't really see that in the lighter weight classes, unless they've had a real war, because guys still got fucking chins, even if they're 135 pounds. True. But these big dudes, you can get through. You could be just a straight up jiu-jitsu specialist. Get all the fucking be a Nogueira. You know what I mean? On the big nog on his feet was okay against someone who wasn't a good striker. But anybody who could strike, he's got to eat shit, get inside and strangle something or bend something.
Yeah, true that. Yeah, there's some guys that are pure jiu-jitsu guys who survive in the UFC. There's this one guy that I saw who's like, he'll dive at you on the ground. We're going head first, and he'll grab your leg. Yep. Have you seen that guy?
Oh, well, I've seen
a couple guys who do that.
Jump guard. Yeah. Damien Maya is a great one for like his
I don't know him.
He was in middleweight for years and years and years, and like a title run. He was a cop down in Brazil, actually. Like I don't know if he's special forces or
I do know that guy.
Yeah, Damien Maya. Yeah. Real bad motherfucker. But his whole thing was like, he's like, I would love to just have a fight where I never have to hurt the other person. He's like, I would just love to have a fight where I just used my jiu-jitsu, my positioning, my judo, I do all that shit. They throw fucking strikes, doesn't matter. They miss me, I dodge them, I block them, I get inside, take them down, and put them away. And he could fucking do it. He could do that against guys in the top 10 in the world in arguably the two most competitive weight classes, middleweight and welterweight in the UFC. Mm-hmm. Like, fuck me running.
It's impressive.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, for sure.
But still never hold a title, though.
Yeah.
If I don't remember, maybe I'm fucked up and he won it for a minute or something, but like, I don't think he ever had a UFC title. Yeah. But again, always a guy who was just a total contender.
Yeah. We'll come back to the UFC. We got so many things to talk about. Okay, guys, we're fucking. What are we? We're 20 minutes in here, and we already had an issue, but we're back. We're back. We're rolling. We got video again. Let's talk about this. Let's finish with this Bombargo thing and then put it to bed.
Sure.
So I'm gonna give my take on it now. Now that you gave me yours, you're more or less kind of like you're for the women. You're like believe the victims, that kind of stuff. Well, they were uncomfortable. That's fine.
That's it, right?
And we shouldn't allow that.
So there's different ways. Yeah, exactly. There's different ways to. Right,
let me give my take. Let me give my take. Hold on.
Okay, sure. No problem.
I was trying to summarize yours. So my take is that I do feel for the victims, and but then there's several things. I'm not going to put up questions and so that you can bat them away. Like, there's just a few things that upset me. I feel bad for them. I know they're uncomfortable, and I don't want any of that. And I heard that they kissed, and that's not good either. I heard about the boner. That's not good either. But like, I got a couple of things. The right to refuse. At any point, these workers, these models could have been like, enough is enough. And they could have walked out. And I understand she was 17 or whatever, but the older one, the 21-year-old one who was bringing in this underage girl, should have been the captain of the two girls, because she was in the room there too. And she should have been the older one and been like, hey, this isn't cool, let's go. And it seems like, so number one, right to refuse. And number two...
Well, sorry, though, but she did, though. She did at one point, according to the story, say, hey, guys, she's not comfortable with this, or this isn't going well, or however she worded it.
And then I heard what Nathan...
And then they just talked her back into it.
I heard the quote that Anthony said, that he's denied, but he said that, he said, haven't you ever heard of acting? That kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
Remember you heard that quote? Yeah, but it's like... And then to come to resurface 5 years later, this is some other parts to it. To have this resurface about a kiss 5 years later, right before the band releases their new album, and they're about to be seriously big, I was like, what a coincidence that these failing models are coming out to throw this band under the bus.
I don't know, man. It loads your answer when you say things like failing models.
But they are.
Do you know these girls don't still have careers?
They don't have careers, so how are they not failing?
I don't. How do you mean? They were clearly working at that time.
Do you know who they are? Are they? Have we seen them in like the Star Phoenix?
Outside of Saskatoon, who knows? UK, man, we got to stop this right now because it's going to turn into an argument. I'm just saying, if you want to make that side, you can't do things to denigrate the other side when you include your answer.
But what if it's part of
it? It is not, though. It is not. I don't know. I don't know the
years.
situation, but all I'm saying is, so what if they don't know? I don't know people that model. I don't know all the stand-up comedians in Saskatoon. I don't know everybody in bands in Saskatoon. I've been doing bands for 20 years here. I don't know everybody in bands in Saskatoon. So you can't argue because you don't know of their career that they're not still successful in whatever it is they're doing. They could be a successful real estate agent now that has finally, after 5 years, worked through the trauma of their childhood and gone, holy fuck, this is what happened to me and this is how I got to deal with it and I'm uncomfortable and I hope these guys aren't doing that. Because trauma doesn't get dealt with in a week or a month or a fucking year. It takes sometimes decades. People repress it. Like I said, I do a podcast with another gentleman who didn't realize until in his 40s through a mental breakdown that he was molested as a child.
Bad ideas, good stories. You're talking
Yes.
about. You're talking about your partner there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? So
yeah.
that's what I'm saying. So this is again a man in his 40s coming to terms with that. So to put the same amount of pressure on a woman in her 20s when again it happened when she was a child, I don't think that's honestly fair to begin with because again, this isn't. It's not an even playing field. This isn't a fist fight altercation. This is an absolute uncontrollable.
For sure.
Sorry, it's an imbalance of power,
yeah.
and it's just.
Let me give an example. Let me give an example and see what you think of it.
Hey, we're not gonna work in hypotheticals, are we, please? Because if we're gonna, I just would like to just get off this topic and we're talking about something else altogether. And I think you know how I feel about this situation.
Yeah.
And I think I know how you feel about this, and I don't think we're gonna clarify anything for each other about how we can misunderstand the other side anymore, right?
For sure.
And I really do appreciate your opinion. I do like hearing. I didn't want to get into this to start out with because
It's a big one. This was the big one. That's what this episode is for. So I'll say one final thing and we'll move on because this one it causes people to fight. It's so interesting. I think it's going to keep getting bigger because everybody is fighting about it. My only thing is this, and I'm not going to pose it to you as an example anymore because you don't want that. My only thing is this: you go to a steel worker, right? A man. He's strong. He's a steel worker. If he was to go to work and get cut by the steel, or not be able to lift something or whatever, you'd be like, "You're a steel worker. You got to be strong. Whatever. Got to be tough." These girls are models. Models are people who are revered for their whole lives. They're attractive. They develop just like how men get stronger. Women develop an armor where they're able to, men who are giving them advances and stuff. They have an armor where they put those men off. So to be a model, one would let me just finish, dude. To be a model, one would assume that they would have that type of emotional strength in the same way that a steel worker would have that kind of physical strength. So that's my only point to make about the situation, about the models. Other than that, I don't like that they're uncomfortable. I don't like anything that happened. I'm not best friends with the Thorns, but I am just defending them a little bit.
That's a super gross comparison, though.
Tell me why. Well, see, this is what I did want, because I don't want to get...
Because it's like you're trying to say that they haven't built up enough of an armor to deal with people trying to sexually assault them, like an iron worker should just...
There wasn't sexual assault, though.
That's what you say. You say it was a kiss. Maybe it's a grope in the dark. Maybe the hard-on doesn't just come from a smooch on the cheek. Maybe he's rubbing his cock up against her. Maybe he grabbed her by the pussy while they're in there with just a fucking tool. You don't know the story, right? So you can't... Yeah. Again, I can't assume that it's the most innocent thing if, again, 5 years later we're talking about it. It has to be something of value. And again, to compare someone who works around things where you can possibly physically injure yourself, again, there's safety measures, there's precaution, there's HR, there's all that other shit where this guy's working that can also help him, and he's going to go to a doctor and get it dealt with. That's not the same with this fucking circumstance whatsoever.
Okay. So, as you said, we don't know. So, do you think our default position should be to believe them and throw the band under the bus? Or do you think our default position should be, I won't promote any negativity towards anyone?
Well, we don't have to include that two together. You don't have to include believe them and cancel them. We don't always have to include those two. They don't have to always go together. You can believe somebody that something happened, and you don't always have to cancel the other one.
But everybody's over-exaggerating it and kind of like, not over-exaggerating, but like everybody's, just like, I agree with you, but still, even though, but they're still getting thrown under the bus, even though we don't know.
But again, this is, okay, there's degrees to all of this, right? There's Bill Cosby, and then there's,
holy
fuck,
that's rape.
I didn't know you didn't want me to grab your ass. You know what I mean?
Like, well, he drugs people and has sex with
degrees
them.
of all this, absolutely. Yeah. But again, it's also how you deal with it, how you come to terms with it, how you claim responsibility for it, and it's all going to play out how it plays out. I do think I've seen other comments where people feel like it's felt disingenuous the way that they've even apologized and tried to distance themselves from it, whatever, instead of accepting responsibility for it. So that's the argument being made. Well,
their statement was
again, it's when you're looking at it as a whole from the outside, even if you don't have a dog in the fight, it's kind of like, didn't seem professional at the minimum. Didn't seem professional at the fucking minimum, and uncomfortable. And then years later, when called out on it, the response seems inadequate and insincere.
Yeah, that was an insincere response.
That's my overall thing on this, the overarching, without getting into the details. And I don't think that's unfair on them. there's better ways to handle this. There's you know people. Yeah. So people handle things differently all the time, but some people do it well and some people don't.
That's good. We all feel for the women
sometimes. You know what I mean? And again, for women, I'm like, this is going to be a big pendulum fucking swing kind of thing. But if this is the response to women having to, since they're 10 years old, carry their fucking keys like they're goddamn Wolverine, worried about stabbing somebody every time they go to their car or walk through a park, the pendulum swing is sometimes guys have to lose their jobs or change careers because they were shitty in the past and they're called out on it. And it might seem unfair and disproportionate.
I agree with you.
But that's an unfair and disproportionate existence they've had where I've never had to worry about that. And I guess maybe us as big, strong white men, that's the responsibility we should carry then, right? Maybe that's
you don't have to be white to be strong people.
But that's what we would claim we are, right? And then as soon as, you don't have to be white to be, but maybe we should take the excess load. Because we have had the excess amount of the benefit from it, and it might not have been me, it might not have been even my family that got the benefit from it, but I can still see other motherfuckers, and that's how this whole system works, right? So if I got to do it a bit now, let's fucking carry it, right? And be proud of it, fucking say, you know what, there's a reason I'm doing this shit. I'm trying to take on extra, so everyone else can have a little less. Is that fucking cool?
Yeah.
And no one's going to be unhappy about that, and if you do it wrong, they're going to fucking forgive you for it. Because I think that's what a lot of people are worried about too, is, they want to be an ally, but they don't want to say the wrong thing or misgender somebody or do something and get called out on for it and then look like an asshole. But it's also
I think it's our jobs to not be afraid.
Well, and also, what are your intentions? Are you doing it with the best of intentions? Are you just trying to be honest and forthright? It's going to be fine then. Someone may overreact, and in time it'll fucking come out, and you may look like a dickhead for a bit, but if, in all honesty, you're doing it, go, no, I fucking thought that was the best, and honestly, the most heartfelt way I could do that at the time. Looking back now, I can see how I could have done it differently, or from your perspective, I can see how it wasn't taken in that, but that was my intention, right? And if we're doing that actively with our shit now, we're not going to have these problems 20 years from now, and we can deal with the fucking shit from the last 10, 15, 20 years a lot better, because it's still in the air, right? This shit doesn't go away. Like I'm saying, man, 30 fucking years, body figures out, holy fuck, this is what happened to me when I'm a kid, right? So when do you know? Like, it's...
Well, I'll just say this. I'll say thank you for giving your opinion on the thing. Like I've said, I've seen
thank
everybody
you for ranting openly.
No, dude, that's what you're here for. You're great at ranting. So I want to just say thank you for. Sorry, I put you in the tense spot. No, sorry, everybody out there
for being open and
who wanted to hear this topic and then our video cut out and stuff. But so that's our take on the topic.
Yeah.
That topic.
No more questions.
Nothing more about that.
Yeah.
So so you've been doing sets at Black Cat. You have a great podcast. Good ideas, bad stories.
Very close though. Bad ideas, good stories.
Yeah, I always get that backwards. I'm sorry.
No worries.
You guys should call your podcast because it's got a good acronym. Gibbs.
Biggs.
Yeah. Or sorry, Biggs. Yeah. Fuck's sake, I got reference. So it's
all there.
Yeah, Biggs. That's a fucking good acronym for your podcast. So how have your sets been going at this point? Or have you?
Well, I haven't done. I guess I wasn't clear. I haven't done stand up in like 3 months because just the night that worked for me, they weren't doing it anymore. Yeah. So then the other nights where it's like sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. It's kind of close, and then I'm like, still a fucking play going on. It's like, do I need to go and do it right now? And if I fucking wait even a couple weeks, maybe lots more people can come too. You know what I mean? If I stay home and I don't spread this shit around, maybe more people can come to the shows. We can enjoy it, and I don't got to go to fucking half full fucking nights with people standing. You clap from the back. I don't know. What's going on? So I'm not saying that's what it's like. It's probably a much more fun vibe than that. But I just the incentive and the ambition to fucking do it has been pretty minimal.
I haven't been to one yet, but I've been meaning to go.
I think everybody else, if you fucking feeling it, yeah, man. Like, and these places are all taking all the precautions they can too. So like, feel safe doing it. Like, be comfortable and go fucking have fun. But like, yeah, no, I'm not in any fucking huge rush. I know summer's coming up here, and it's just everything's gonna be more fun then. And again, this winter's been kind of lame for me, so it's like. I already had jokes and shit written, and I just feel like I don't have any new stuff to work with for experience-wise, because it's like I'm not doing fuck all.
True.
You know what I mean?
All we can talk about is macro stuff.
That's
because
it, right?
There is no
We're not going to sound like we're fucking CNN and just talk about what everybody else is, because it's like that's what's going on, and it's kind of wacky. But you know what? It's good though. I mean, because for myself, I felt it was kind of a toxic part of my life a bit, where it was so involving, but again, I felt like I couldn't. Again, it was the weight I had to carry. I had to deal with this toxic shit weighing me down all the time, because if I don't fucking pay attention, maybe something terrible is going to happen, and I'm like, no, fuck everybody. This is what we got to watch. This is the important thing, you know. Yeah. And which is weird. Like, why the fuck would I give a fuck about that? Who am I? But that was even on the small scale, my shit that I would worry about, which is weird, But again, less distraction.
What's an example of shit you'd worry about?
Oh, just your grand scale world economics,
like,
fucking
where's
shit.
Corona gonna have us at the end?
Yes, all that kind of shit that was going on. That was just, and it's still happening. Everything's still happening. It's just,
like,
again, there isn't a lunatic at the wheel anymore for one of the major superpowers. So I'm like, okay, this new guy sucks, but he's not a terrorist. So let's just continue to move on.
You know what's kind of funny? We can talk about that for a second. Do you want any of the beers?
I do. I'm just about done this thing. Actually, I was just watching.
Oh, that's good.
I'm definitely gonna have
funny. We can get into that because I've been thinking about it a lot. About I like Biden.
He's okay, you know. I mean, but to me, he's another establishment guy. He was practically president for fucking 8 years, anyways. He's right there, you know. But he is old as fuck. Like, we couldn't find anybody who wasn't 900 years old to do the goddamn job.
It seems the way it's always is.
But whatever. At least he's not. At least he's not going to light the place on fucking fire. He's not. And there, some of the good is going to try and get done. The $15 minimum wage they're trying to do probably won't fucking happen during his term, but you see how the midterms go. You get a big shift, and especially with a lot of the crazy shit that's going on. We're going to get into this now. A lot of the crazy shit that's going on at the state level, like Brian Kemp, fucking Georgia. Pay attention to that if anybody isn't. That's a big fucking story. Going to be a big deal. There's going to be a lot more voter regulation fucking shit that's going to try and get pushed through at the state level, and it's going to get squashed, hopefully. And then when that shit gets squashed, they're also going to go after the gerrymandering. So we'll see.
That's what everybody's talking about. If I could just cut in for a second, that's what everybody's talking about. Is like is whether or not people should have to do the identification verification before they vote and stuff. That's what they're going for in Georgia. And you think they should squash that?
Well, because here's the reasoning though. Because they're not doing it to actually make sure that these people are who they are. They're doing it because they
target people who don't.
They know it's difficult to get these different levels of identification.
All the people that they don't want voting,
like and the majority of the people who are poor are black and illegals.
And
right?
They say that's
in those areas, right? That's why they're doing that, right? And because again, this is constitutional shit. Like, your right to vote, you fucking get one. You're an American. You're a Canadian. You get a right to fucking vote. And there, it gets taken away from you if you go to jail. I think you still get to fucking vote if you're a Canadian, actually, and you've been in jail. I'm not 100% on that, which is weird because we live here.
I'm not 100% on that either.
Again, I don't know that many people that have been to jail up here. Down there, it's just a common fucking occurrence. But anyways, that's some shit they're gonna work on. They're gonna focus on. And again, like, the gerrymandering laws are gonna get changed because that was something that was been actively done over the last 60 years to keep the fucking Republicans where they never get a fucking majority of the fucking vote, the popular vote, but they can still continue to have people put in as president. You know what I mean? And again, this is the side that always argues, well, we need better representation and quality, but it's like, no, you've already manipulated it, so you're getting disproportionate representation, and then crying foul, saying it's still being done to you. Well, it's hilarious and awful.
Here's the thing, too. I agree with all that, and I've been kind of like thinking about it a lot, and to the point where I see it on both sides now.
Well, the
Biden
Democrats have gerrymandered as well. It's just not to the extent the Republicans have. Absolutely.
Okay. But then my point is, I'm talking more about like people, like not than the system. It's almost like Biden. I know you say Trump's a lunatic. It's almost like I see now that Biden is too.
Have you seen some? You have to be a power-hungry fucking nut job to try to get to that level. Anyways, who wants to run the world?
That's what Joe Rogan always says.
You know what I mean? That's what I fucking feel. And like anybody who looks to these like even politicians and shit as like some sort of guiding light.
There's a good guy. No, he's not. None of them.
Many of them are just power-hungry fucking nut jobs, and that's how you get there. You know, at least, well, you know what? I do feel like there is a bit of a turning of the tide starting to happen. At least in Canada, you're getting more of a grassroots kind of thing. You're getting more people that are actually living in the fucking community, starting to represent people instead of people that have homes in the community that live someplace else. That it's like I can still balance this and make it work out. There's starting to be a move towards that. People actually want their representatives living around them. And then when you have to live around these people all the time, you start finding out who is a piece of shit and who isn't, because you're doing business with them and you're seeing them in the fucking community, and maybe they're even on your PTA thing, right?
It's almost like social media has kind of made everybody more transparent, and it's such a big part of politics now. Social media.
Like, okay, so that to me in my head is almost like like an apocalypse, like a coming of times, right? Where it's like all your fucking shit's laid bare. Everything that you are, that's your deep, dark fucking things, all you gotta do is and everybody in the fucking world knows it. And that's what everybody's doing. They treat the shit like their diary, where they throw, you know what I'm fucking mad about today? Who's that directed at? I don't know. Nobody. The universe. Fuck it. Whatever. Right? But I'm going to put it out there, right? So it's like this agreed upon apocalypse that we've got into, where we're all like, we're just going to dump our fucking shit out, and we're going to get to see who everybody is. And if you're not a piece of shit, you're probably going to be fine. But if you've been shitty and done shitty things on purpose, everybody's going to fucking know about it, and your world's going to change.
And then there's a
your
guy
job's going to change. Your house is going to change.
For sure. And then there's a guy like me, though, who, when I look at it, I have already a long time ago accepted, and I feel like I see people. I think this is why I see the problem with it is it's like we're all kind of bad. So it's like ultimately the eye for an eye thing, when it comes down to subjective things like, oh, these are your views, I'm going to take your eye, you take my eye.
Yeah.
I just feel like we're all going to just be knocked down and knocked down and knocked down continuously because we're all bad.
Well,
especially at a certain time. We all go through cycles of...
Oh, absolutely. And that's exactly what's happening. And it's starting to begin that this cancel culture starting to eat itself. You know, when you start out with good enough intentions, I mean, that was cancel culture, that was boycotting, that was the things you would do, the moms with the fucking signs outside the toy store that sell the Barbie that's too realistic. You know what I mean? Fucking, yeah, whatever, man. Whatever somebody's mad about, that's what that shit was for decades, right? Yeah. And now it's cancel culture, because then you can just get online and then virtually cancel them and have everybody, no one go and talk to this company. Nobody use that shit, right? Yeah. Which is great when they are being pieces of shit. When you're actually calling out the Weinsteins of the fucking world, by all means, that's a fantastic fucking tool to use.
Yeah.
But again, maybe on a band that played gropey touchy in a fucking closet 5 years ago and things were misunderstood, then maybe that's not the same hammer you hit a Weinstein with. Right? Yeah. But sometimes that's what it comes to. It's just fucking delete. They're all fucking done. And you know what? In this detached world we live in, I've made the argument too, like, who gives a fuck? If it's some shitty band or some shitty actor or some shitty fucking whatever the fuck, some company, who gives a fuck? If their product's any good and people actually give a fuck about them, they'll still be around. Look at Robert Downey fucking Jr. People still love that fucking idiot, and what hasn't he done? Fucking Charlie Sheen. You'd have Charlie Sheen over today and hang out and have some laughs, and he'd probably infect you with something. You know what I mean?
Because, like, you think those guys haven't kissed somebody without their permission? It's like...
that's it, right? It's like, what level of garbage are you, right? Yeah. And it's getting adjusted. It's somebody's treating a tiny pile like a mountain, you know, but we're getting back to that balance. Yeah. And it's like, ride it the fuck out. Don't be a piece of shit during this. Try not to aggravate any of it, you know, and if you see it going on yourself. Yeah, fucking rights, man. You know, like, call it out in others when you see it and go, hey, fuck smart, act right. You know,
so I was going to ask you, what's this new podcast that you said that is coming up that you said you liked? You said it was
actually, I haven't listened to it yet.
What's it called? And who's in it? We'll plug them.
Okay, so it's actually my sister-in-law, Carrie, and I can't remember the name of the guy she's doing it with, but he runs a Deadlock escape room.
Oh, cool.
And I believe it's called Two Fat Kids Eat Saskatoon.
Nice.
And their whole thing is they're going to try and get through all these different restaurants in Saskatoon. And from what I understand, their first one was at that Aiden, and they were doing this like kind of wine night thing, and it was a really great thing. But they're like, it's not like a fucking, from what I understand, they're doing a podcast. Like, they got fucking hair and makeup, and they got 2 camera guys, and they got all the shit. And I was like, fucking first episode? Because I didn't even know she was doing this. And also, I'm talking to my brother yesterday, and he's like, oh, yeah, fuck, she's got this new podcast. And he's explaining to me. I'm like, no, she's shooting a TV show, man. That doesn't sound like a podcast. Yeah. But anyways, it sounds like it's going to be really fucking good.
Yeah.
And, like Two Fat Kids Eat Saskatoon.
Nice. I like it when they have that male energy mixed with the female energy. So is she on the show with it all the time?
Right?
Yeah, like
I
like
believe
your
the two
mom's
of them are
house.
doing it together.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, exactly. It does get, although
Christina's
I do find
so
her
funny.
So you think she's funny?
Dude, I bet you don't like her because, she's like very right wing.
Oh, is she? I see. I don't even know her politics. Yeah. I just never find her funny.
Yeah,
I find her I find her kind of subdued and like kind of like she'll take like little
crazy.
Like she'll take little. Oh, really?
She's always like everybody. But this is the thing. She has kind of misogynistic views, even though she's a woman. She's always like, because she hosts. She's on a bunch of podcasts. Where My Mom's At is her main one.
Yeah.
And on there, almost every episode, she will be on there like saying, "Wives, go out there, milk your husbands. They'll be nicer to you." Like all that kind of shit. She's super. She has these misogynistic views, but they're almost tough to argue with.
But I see sometimes, again, and maybe this is the misogyny in me showing, is with female comedians. Sometimes when I feel that kind of energy, I'm almost like, okay, is that really you though?
You think they're faking it? Yeah.
Or is that the joke?
Yeah.
Is that the funny thing that you think to say here, or is that you? You know what I mean? Because it's like gross out humor and stuff does work really well with females, because you're already not expecting them to be disgusting because they're not a man.
Yeah.
Right? You're like in your animal mind, you're like not disgusting, right?
And then when they
start doing something disgusting,
like,
you're like, oh fuck, what?
Dick.
Right? So you do get that. And I'm not trying to downplay what fucking female comedians do. I'm just saying that like sometimes when I get that energy, I'm kind of like it doesn't feel genuine to me, and I don't feel when I watch the two of them together that their energy goes up together. You know what I mean? Like her and her husband, where like they really riff off each other and they make each other laugh, and like they're both giggling hard and stuff. It's almost like you get a more subdued version of him when they're together than when he's with Bert, for example.
Totally.
On the other one, right?
Totally.
You get and he'll still say the nasty shit because he's there, but it's like doesn't he shoot porn and shit too? Like talking about cunts and shit for them is not taboo. Like that could be Sunday brunch kind of talk for them. You know what I mean? Yeah. But then I don't know. I don't get that same vibe of just like, you know, he's hanging with the boys, how he talks, you know, than when he's with his wife. And they're still funny and they still do their thing, but it's like, it's not the same vibe to me, and it doesn't feel as raw, I guess.
Completely
Not to say that I think it's scripted or any bullshit like that.
Yeah.
I fucking know how I talk around my girlfriend. I know how I talk around my friends.
And they do
it is
have
not
the same.
exactly the same.
Yeah.
It is not exactly
100%,
the same energy.
100%. Yeah, totally.
I don't say I go out and be horrible, terrible fucking things, but it is not exactly the same.
Yeah. So,
and as it shouldn't be.
Yeah. So what we're going to do at this point is I'm going to just take a quick second to thank our sponsors. We got Mic Drop Productions. They do weddings and things like that. If you need a wedding DJ, hit them up. Thanks to Great Western and Bush for making great beer. We always drink your guys' beer on the podcast. It's always the cheapest. What am I got? I've been doing a lot of carpentry. You can hit me up at Stephan Jackson, or what is it? Canadian Talk with Stephan at gmail.com. And I'm selling comedic bathroom signs written on wood. This one here, have a nice poop. We got all kinds of signs like that. We got big and small. And I make tables and benches and all kinds of things like that. So they're very reasonably priced. You can hit me up at the email and buy some of those. I've been making a fortune off of these.
Yeah.
Seriously, man.
Right on.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks to all the sponsors. And thanks for making the podcast possible. I'm going to have a quick pee break. We'll be right back. Does that sound good?
Word. Excuse me.
And we're back. I'll edit that pause out.
I didn't say anything. I wasn't sure if it was on or not. I was
Yeah,
like,
no,
I'll just
it
stay
is.
here.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I'll edit that out. Man, it's nice to have a more comfortable studio. I should actually add a little wood to this fire.
This is nice, man. You got such a nice temperature in here, too.
Yeah, this is way better.
Fucking wood heat. Can't see it on the camera, folks, but what a lovely bit of wood heat over here. Got a piezoelectric fan blowing the heat at us.
Exactly.
If you aren't familiar with a piezoelectric fan, look into piezoelectric fans for moving the wood heat around your house. It's the most efficient way to do it.
Fuck yeah. Man, yeah, what you were saying is that, like, there's a lot of podcasts out there nowadays. Everybody's starting to do it. Everybody's learning how to make their own RSS feed. Websites are easier to make thanks to, like, Squarespace and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then there's all those apps, too. Like, you guys use an app, right? Like Linktree or one of those where you kind of, it does the RSS stuff for you.
Yeah, we use Linktree and Libsyn.
Yeah.
And I guess that's it for that kind of shit. And then they kind of just squirt it out all over the place for us.
Yeah, so nowadays anybody can make a podcast.
It's literally. Yeah. No, it's not to get started, man. And like, yeah.
So do you think
couple $100 if you already got a laptop, get your fucking going.
Yeah.
Otherwise you gotta buy a laptop. But.
Yeah. So I've been talking with like a few other comedians, and there's a lot of animosity between podcast comedians versus stand-up comedians.
Sure.
And a lot of times stand-up comedians like to kind of say that, because would you consider yourself more of a primary stand-up or more of a primary pod?
Well, I've definitely done way more podcasts than stand-up.
Yeah.
So So for the time being,
yeah. And then I've had some guys tell me that, like, oh, you guys aren't real comedians. How do you feel about that?
Interesting. Well, I feel like doing both. It's hard for me to not argue that I feel like I'm a fucking comedian. Plus, I did have the benefit of being on stage for years doing band stuff. So, I mean, banter and shit in between. You just kind of get comfortable with that.
Sure.
So,
I love when bands do that.
I think the biggest part of any of that is being comfortable. Somebody's uncomfortable. Doesn't matter how fucking funny you are if you can't get the jokes out and you're mumbling and fumbling through it and you wrote 100%. The greatest shit in the world. That doesn't matter. So, no, I think it's two different things. I can see lots of people that are like, that would be really good exactly in that kind of scenario where it's short spurts, it's jokes. You're telling jokes.
Yeah, like I'm Mark Norman, but he's also so good on podcasts.
He is. Yeah, absolutely. But, I don't know. I'm trying to think of maybe like an extreme case would be like Mitch Hedberg. Mitch Hedberg did jokes. You know what I mean? It was bop, 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 bop.
Yeah.
Bop, bop,
Yeah. Like if you heard him on a podcast,
it wasn't
you
a
might
conversation.
Be like, I don't want
right?
to listen to this guy.
His interviews and stuff, right? To get a sentence out of him was a fucking stretch sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So I couldn't picture that guy doing a really engaging, interesting, funny podcast, right?
Yeah.
Whereas
because he was
watch him stand up there for a fucking hour and be hilarious.
Yeah.
And it's the same amount of time.
Yeah.
But it's a different format.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a different preparation method, I think.
Yeah.
So it's similar enough, right? If you're really good at one, you're probably going to be at least
okay
have their own
skills.
Other, right?
They each have their own skills.
Complement each other.
Yeah, like they do complement each other, and they're different skill sets.
But yeah, there's nothing to say that if you can just do a 3-hour podcast, that you can get out there and make somebody laugh in 4 minutes.
Exactly, but if you can talk for 3 hours, you definitely have some improvisational skills. You know,
well,
and that's
for sure,
something,
right?
So,
and then that would be sorry.
Do you have improv skills or do you have comfort? You know?
And I think that would be like the technical aspect of it, where it's like even if you weren't necessarily good at writing jokes or doing stand-up, if you were good at the telling stories and shit and recording it and then going through and finding what was the 25 or 40 second segment that was funny, take that out, tell that story.
That's the best part about podcasts, is you can rev yourself up and then all of a sudden for 20 minutes you'll just have gold.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And that's hard to get in that, because it's whatever mood you're in that day, and that it's like making music, right? You'll never get the exact same thing again doing it again.
Do you feel that stand-up comedy is more like music, or do you feel that no, stand-up comedy is more like performing music, and then this is more like making music, isn't it?
Yeah.
I feel like that's a decent analogy.
No, I'd have to agree, because there's no collaborative method for me when I'm like trying to like either come up with jokes or write stories and stuff. I'm just doing that by myself. I might bounce it off somebody afterwards. You think this is funny, or is that a stupid way of saying that, or or whatever, right? But usually I'm right to begin with, so it doesn't matter.
So how has your life been lately? Like how's your diet been, and what kind of exercise you been finding time for?
You really want to fuck with me today? This fucking guy trying to hit my notes, huh? No, it's been good, man. I fucking actually the old lady today was saying how good I looked in just underwear. I was like, oh, real?
Boom.
Yeah. No,
so get over here.
Fucking I haven't been like working super hard, but I've been trying to be more conscious as shit. Right now, just in my general existence, try not to eat so much garbage. Now, again, I'm just generally feeling better now that it's like getting to be spring, and just I'm engaging more with shit that I enjoy doing, and so it's all getting easier. And when I feel like garbage, it's hard to fucking fucking do the right thing and not eat the pile of shit. But now it's way fucking easier, so I'm just not doing that so much. And I've been do it. I like doing calisthenics stuff.
What's your favorite kind of meat?
Oh, intriguing.
Because you're a meat guy.
Well, I know. Well, okay, so I wasn't though. For the 6 years before I fucking did this job, I was a vegetarian.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that. That was
and there was
funny.
like a gradual kind of trend, but part of that wasn't really the job necessarily. It was more just not giving a fuck about myself or anything around me, and just being like, I don't give a fuck. Like,
people say that meat is bad. Meat's bad.
Yeah, I had the worst fucking year of my life, and I'm depressed. I don't give a fuck about
eating becomes secondary.
Pigs and chickens right now.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to get back more to that though, where I'm trying to be more conscious of that. And again, it's all my reasoning. Fucking 8 years ago now didn't change. You know what I mean? It's still just as solid and fucking valid as it was then. I've just been okay with the level of fucking engagement I've had with these industries. I wasn't okay with it before, so I didn't engage with the meat industries and shit like that in the way I had, and did it less. Now I'm fine with fucking eating chicken because I feel like shit anyways. You know. Mm-hmm. But as soon as I'm not feeling like shit, I'm conscious of it. Well, I'll take the fucking the meat alternative option, or just have fucking whatever else that doesn't have meat in it, because I don't feel like fucking garbage, and I'm going to do that. And then eventually, for me, I know it's going to go. Eventually I'm going to get better and more consistent, and then it'll just be what I do. It's just how quickly I do it is how much input I into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I just kind of let it happen, it's going to happen eventually. I'm going to eventually get there, because I'm already kind of doing it passively as I exist.
Yeah.
But I start putting more intent and go, no, these fucking days of the week I'm not eating meat or whatever, then I'll phase it fucking back out, and because I can't do anything fucking both feet in. It works. You can do it. I've done lots of different things like that. Like I'm not fucking doing this anymore. Quit drinking like fucking. Oh man, so much. Like in my 20s, like 3 times a week I would throw up from drinking so much. You know what I mean? Like going out that much and being in bands and shit. You're just it's fucking what you do.
Yeah.
And then quitting drinking just cold turkey for 2.5 years. Like just mid stride, just like no, I'm done. That's it. Like Saturday morning, nope, not doing this anymore. Saturday night didn't drink. I mean, yeah, sure. 2.5 fucking years not drinking, not a fucking drop. And again, from like all the goddamn time, that's quite an adjustment. But then I started drinking again, and again it would come in waves and up and down and balance. And
what was your what kind of drinks did you like? What was your?
Oh fuck, I would drink anything.
Drink anything, but do you like beer more? Do you like the hard stuff?
Depending on what I was doing.
Depending on what you were doing.
If you were doing something where a beer was more suitable for the activities. You know what I mean? Then
but
yeah,
you
you're out at the lake or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But if
Same
you're
as me, I
if you're booze
podcast.
cruising and you're worried about getting caught, while you're drinking whiskey and putting it in a fucking pop bottle or whatever, right? And being covert and
I drink basically every day.
I remember getting pulled over. It's actually kind of a funny story. I remember but if you can kind of manage it, like I know people that have 1 or 2 beer every night and they're just cool.
That's like
whereas me, I don't have that, and it's like I'm either kind of like I kind of want to have some fucking drinks, or I just don't at all now. So anyway, so this is nice because I haven't felt like having any drinks in a while, and I actually do today.
Yeah.
But
and have you had a chance to kind of find ways to get any exercise at all over the past year?
Well, yeah. You know what I like to do actually, and it's really been working in the last couple months here, is just doing like calisthenic shit because I drive like fucking 6-7 hours a day sometimes. Right?
Yeah, I was the same way when I was a courier. Yeah.
So yeah, you're in the vehicle lots. So we find different calisthenic shit to do while you're there, different like hold positions. And a book that I really enjoy is Solitary Fitness by Charles Bronson. So if anybody's interested in alternative, and it's stretch and bodyweight calisthenics shit. That's what it is. There's no secret to it. But it's a really interesting book. If you're familiar with Charles Bronson at all, you guys know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about, and you'll be like, yeah, that's fucking sweet. And if you don't know about him, you should watch the movie Bronson, starring fucking Tom Hardy, and then get this book and read it so you have some context for the level of lunatic that wrote this thing. And yeah, but anyways, I like that, and like just doing just different calisthenic stuff and focusing on shit, and it just makes me feel better, and I can feel shit like moving around as soon as I start doing it. It feels like going to a chiropractor, having them actually adjust you,
Yeah, but then you have control of it yourself.
Exactly, but then as soon as you feel like it's not there, then it's like, oh no, I've not been doing that for like the last 3 hours. It's like, no, put it back where everything's supposed to be and feel right. And like everybody, when you were a kid, and they said keep your fucking back straight, that shit was correct. Do that. But it's what a difference it makes. Because then all of a sudden I just feel like everything kind of gets to where it's supposed to be, and I feel much more comfortable and more mobile and whatnot.
Yeah. So what we'll do now is we'll get into the age-old topic at this point for podcasts. But so Corona has happened. It's been happening. We're people say we're coming to the end of it. Some people are talking about what do you call it, variants and things like that. Some people are mask wearers. Some people aren't. Some people think that masks are something that it's just like it's a pair of shoes, and then there's some people that think that masks are a rights violation. And there's some people that think that masks are like a gang sign for your political party. They're like,
oh sure, yeah, it's been very divisive.
And so there's certain, and then there's some, and I can just keep going on.
It's a weird thing to pick, guys.
You can keep listing, there's Corona is like it's almost like we handled this pandemic. It's like a modern pandemic. We haven't had one for 10 years. The last one was H1N1, and it's just like social media turned the whole way that we're handling this pandemic on its head a little bit. Because all the laymen think that they know everything, and but on both sides. Yeah. So it's causing.
Well, and there is active
the authorities
disinformation being put out to keep people confused, and then keep them angry and fighting about that thing that they're confused about to begin with. Yeah. It's a concerted effort.
Because we all know that social media, the algorithms are designed around conflict in a way.
That's what drives clicks and likes and interests.
Exactly.
Right?
So
what is
in a way.
So whatever, if everybody's into puppies and cats and shit, that's what you're going to see, right?
Yeah, and it's caused all these laymen. It's caused the authority figures to almost to just kind of disappear. Like nobody knows who to look to anymore. They're like CDC, World Health Organization. These people know the facts. But then
but that was done on purpose. That was a purposeful campaign to try and discredit scientists, discredit the CDC, because it didn't fit with Trump's political narrative of what he wanted. So he had to actively discredit them. And no, these guys don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So as soon as the president says that, at least a small portion of the population is going to question that. And then once they've questioned it, and then more things come up, and then they start to go, well, yeah, but what about, because people are paying attention now. Shit that would never outrage them 6 months ago. Now they're paying attention to it, and they see it, and they go, well, yeah, look what they're up to there, and what's the CDC doing here? Well, how haven't you heard about Bill Gates and his vaccines and what they're doing over there? And then they enter the rabbit hole, and they get into QAnon and shit. Like it's that is abso-fucking-lutely on purpose, right?
I feel like 15 years ago, it just wouldn't have happened like that. People wouldn't have had the information availability.
Not everybody had the smartphones like we do.
Exactly. So it's almost like I have a hard time not blaming all this problems that have been happening with this pandemic, whether or not, because we're not going to get into technical stuff like which one is more severe and compare it to all these other ones. We don't need to get into that but the information age has changed. We know that. So everybody has all this different information, And yeah, it's killed the power that the authority figures are supposed to have to tell us what's actually happening.
Because that's when you're using that right, that's a great, any of those platforms, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, those are all good tools for getting information out to large groups of people quickly. Everybody can fucking learn about it within a day. That's the problem, right?
Yeah.
And then if it's wrong and you did it by accident, you can retract it, you can redact it. But when it is continuous, where there is purposeful campaigns to put what are knowingly fraudulent fucking phrases in there, doesn't matter what it's about, doesn't matter if it's the pandemic or if the election was stolen or the level of involvement by Russians or whatever it is, all that shit all adds up, because you don't need to believe that that masks don't work or that the election was stolen, but if you believe one of these other things that is also a fucking lie, well, you can get hooked by that. And then all those lies can eventually, it pulls you away from what is actually truth, because if you can doubt the CDC once, well, you can doubt them again. And then when you see a bunch of other people doing it, even if you kind of think they might be wrong, you're like, well, there's still kind of something there. Well, again, when we never would have had these thoughts 20 years ago, the CDC, the Center for Disease Control in America, that was how do you deal with a pandemic? They're going to tell us. Dr. Fauci is going to be the guy that's going to fucking say it, and we'll do whatever he fucking says.
Yeah.
Trump comes out and says he doesn't know what he's talking about, comes out and tries to get the other doctor to say that you can just inject bleach into you or go inside your body with, like, all these crazy fucking things that, like, you're like, I don't believe that, I can't. But then again, you heard that narrative once of maybe he's wrong and the guy with the crazy shit's right. Even if you didn't believe it then, that's enough to just chip away at that, right?
Yeah,
and then you pile on, and all of a sudden you got people that are going, I think Fauci's a fucking foreign agent and he's making billions off this, and it's just like, are you fucking insane? Again, this is a man who 10 years ago, because he's worked for the CDC for like 35 fucking years, even 10 years ago, average person, you explain what he does, they'd revere him. They go, wow, he's doing that kind of work. That would really keep us safe when this kind of crazy shit from the future can happen. And then when it does happen, they're like, how many fucking times is he going to tell me I got to wear a fucking mask? Well, how many now? I got to wear 9 masks? You know, like, it just gets blown out because I don't like doing what I'm told. And there's a huge portion of the population that doesn't like doing what they're fucking told. And they don't give a fuck who's telling them. And if somebody else is giving them an alternative that is not them telling them what to do or say, I don't give a fuck what he's saying. He's not telling me what to do or say. Yeah. I don't like these assholes telling me what to do.
Yeah.
And it's fucking insane, because that keeps, like, driving how we deal with the pandemic then. People that don't like being told what to do are going to dictate how the fuck the rest of us have to deal with the plague.
Yeah.
Yeah!
I know, man.
The system works, brother.
What a mess, eh? What a mess.
Yeah.
It's a strange place.
Oh, it's fun. It's really fun. It's great to be alive at this time, because, like I said, if this is an apocalypse of some sort, I'm glad I was around for it, and I feel like I'm getting out the other side of it, you know, because they don't say shit's always over. You know what I mean? Like, people get fucking sucked up to wherever, and a bunch of people die, you know, and I'm like, well, that'll happen, you know, like, the most death I've fucking seen in my family history has been in the last year and or 2.5 years. So it's like, yeah, for me, that's been the equivalent of it. You know, and maybe I'm whatever the fuck comes out the other side of an apocalypse, I guess. I got a jacket for it, though, I feel. I'm like, kind of been preparing for some sort of Thunderdome most of my life. So, I mean... I
get it. So you're
saying when did the water wars start?
Yeah, you already look like you're living in an apocalypse. Is that what you're saying?
Right? Been eating like that long enough, you know?
Oh, shit. Okay, yeah. So what else we
Scrounging
got?
for morsels.
Yeah, so, man, I got a few things on here, but they're all like...
I love that you took notes on a fucking beer box. Yeah. That's genius.
Because I figured if I had to take notes on here as we were going, I could write, because it was a bit thick.
Yeah, absolutely. So. You need a sturdy writing surface.
Man, what else?
See, other things people don't know about podcasts. You need a sturdy writing surface.
Yeah. So,
we do ours on a bondage table, and it's all padded.
Is it?
So it's not great to write right on. You always have to bring a book or something right on.
Oh, that's a bondage table.
And he's got these tie-down hook things that dangle, like these big circles that dangle all the way around the outside of it.
Straps.
So when you bump the table, it jingle and jangles, and you hear it through the fucking mic. We're like, we probably shouldn't have done that, but we're like, just don't touch the table. Yeah. It's funnier. It's funnier this way.
I love you guys' set, though. I wanted to say, good ideas, bad ideas, good stories. You guys' set is so nice.
Oh, thanks,
I love it.
It's
like it's cool in the background.
We gotta figure out how to shoot both cameras the whole time, all the time.
We
frequently have one cut out or what. Again, it's all fucking learning shit. I think we just did our 30th one, and so I mean, there's anybody else you guys are listening to that's any good. They're on their 800th one. You know what I mean? I know, fucking the Bobby Lees and the Rogans have done thousands, and
that's the one thing I've been wanting to figure out is like I just see the one camera angle. These other cameras ended up being such a headache. I want to have like 2 camera angles, so it's on the one person and then there's one on the other person. But you kind of have to have a producer to switch the camera. I was looking into if there was any software or anything that you could buy that it'll control the camera. So whoever's making the noise,
Yeah.
that camera will go. And then once your mic is picking up noise, then that camera will go. But
that's interesting.
it doesn't fucking exist. Even
sure, kind of like a Zoom meeting. You know what I mean? It switches to...
Yeah, it does.
If you don't have everybody on the thing, if it's just the person who's talking, right?
Yes, but it doesn't do it good enough.
No, I totally know what you mean.
Yeah,
but I mean,
sometimes you want to go
whatever the professional equivalent of that is, that would make it smooth.
I wish I could get that.
Well, there's probably something there in between what we do, because like we do shoot it with 2 cameras, but then they're both, nothing's lined up. So then he has to line up the camera with the other camera. So at the beginning of every episode, we have to go like pop, 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 so you can see our mouths, so he knows what the fuck's lining up, and then line that up with the fucking audio, and then go through and edit everything.
My thing is, I have a pirated version of Adobe Premiere, and so all you have to do is you just have to highlight it and press synchronize.
And you can just synchronize the two of them.
It synchronizes it. Like normally what happens today with that cutting out.
I'm saying there's somewhere in between this, right?
Yeah.
there's between the really difficult way, but actually
the trick is to have like you have your audio, and because I think he could do it too. The trick is you have audio, and then you have camera that also has audio, because that camera right now is also recording audio, but that's how it synchronizes using audio.
Sure. Yeah. That's the problem. Yeah, he's using GoPros. I don't think the one has a mic on it, and the other one
that'll be
picks
the problem.
something up. And,
yeah.
No, there's an easier way.
Yeah.
There's an easier way.
Yeah.
But we'll get there.
Yeah.
And that's more shit we got to invest in, I guess, infrastructure wise, is just get the technical end of it, so it's nice, compact, easy to fucking move and use. But
so everybody, I want to thank you for tuning in. This was episode 27 of Canadian Talk. We're an hour in of babbling and camera problems, so I think for today we'll call it a day, and we're gonna have Dusty back real soon for another episode. Thanks for listening. Thanks to our sponsors, and Canadian Talk episode 27 out.
Thanks for having me. Haunted.
Thanks for listening, and any questions or concerns for the show, as well as voice recordings and voice messages that you'd like us to listen to, or advertisement inquiries, please forward those along to canadiantalkwithstephan@gmail.com. Thanks. We also have a website, stephanjackson.ca, where you can find a back catalog of all our episodes. And we're also on YouTube, where you can find the video versions.
Canadian Talk.